The man secretly chatted with his young secretary in an intimate way behind his wife's back, but he forgot to turn off his phone's screencasting. Their entire chat history was displayed on the living room TV. The wife watched those messages and felt her heart grow colder little by little. Then she found a stranger's personal clothing hidden in the gap of the sofa, but she did not question her husband. She silently put it back where it was. The next day the woman went to the hospital alone, and ended the pregnancy of the child she had struggled for years to have. Then she booked a flight abroad for 7 days later, deciding to completely disappear from her husband's world. That night after returning home her husband bought her favorite cake out of guilt, but the woman smelled a strange perfume on him, and saw lipstick marks on his shirt. Those proofs could no longer hurt her, because she had already completely given up on him. At that moment her husband noticed the gift box on the table, and thought it was a surprise prepared by his wife, but the woman stopped him from opening it, and told him to wait until 7 days later, because that day would be their 10th wedding anniversary. The husband pretended to regret it, saying he had simply been too busy recently and had forgotten, but the woman only found it ridiculous. Then her husband showed concern for her discomfort, and told her to go to the hospital for a checkup the next day. The woman suddenly agreed, and said she would stay with him all day. She wanted to see how he could meet his young secretary right in front of her eyes. Meanwhile the husband felt extremely guilty, so he hid in the bathroom and secretly contacted the young secretary, but he did not know that their messages were once again displayed on the TV. The next morning during breakfast, the woman asked her husband if he still remembered the promise he made when he proposed. The husband answered without hesitation that he would only love her for the rest of his life. The woman asked what he would do if he ever changed his heart. Unexpectedly the husband immediately made a serious vow. Watching his fake expression of devotion, the woman only felt disgusted. After arriving at the hospital the husband deliberately prepared flowers and gifts, creating the image of a loving husband in front of others. Then he used an excuse to leave, and rushed to meet the young secretary, but he accidentally left his work badge behind. When the woman took the badge to find him, she heard nurses discussing their relationship. It turned out the entire hospital knew that her husband was cheating, and she was the only one who had been kept in the dark. When the husband came back to get his badge, he even warned the nurses not to say anything. Seeing the suspicious marks on his neck again, the woman almost felt sick, but the husband pretended to be deeply loving, saying he would stay with her all day. But the next second the young secretary called him, and he still left his wife without hesitation. Right after that the woman received a message from the young secretary. The other woman proudly said that one phone call from her was enough to make her husband leave. Then she sent a pregnancy report. It turned out the young secretary was pregnant with his child. At that moment the woman's last bit of hope for her husband completely disappeared. She deleted all her personal information, and handed the evidence of his affair to a lawyer to prepare for divorce. From then on she would live only for herself. The husband called and said he would be away on a business trip for a week, but he had no idea this would become their final conversation. 7 days later the woman burned all their photos together, and left one final message, telling her husband to open the gift box when he came back. But the person who replied to her was the young secretary. The woman completely lost hope in her husband. Then she picked up her luggage and walked toward the airport. From that moment on she began